The Bermuda Triangle is a place surrounded by mystery, and theories related to this mystical area have been developed by scientists. The theories are linked to unexplainable tragedies and disappearances that have taken place in this small region stretching between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico over the span of approximately 2,000 decades. Around 2,000 people have died due to shipwrecks, and over 200 people have lost their lives after their planes inexplicably crashed or simply disappeared. The first person to discover that something was amiss in this area was Christopher Columbus in the year 1492. He noticed that his compass was not functioning in this area. Since then, many bizarre events have occurred here, including the flight of Bruce Gernon on December 4, 1970. At the age of 20, Bruce, who already had about 600 hours of flight experience and was very familiar with flights between Florida and the Bahamas, embarked on an adventure that would haunt him for the rest of his life. On December 4, 1970, Bruce, his father, and an associate boarded Bruce's plane. Immediately after takeoff at an altitude of 400 meters, Bruce noticed an unusual cloud about 1,500 meters ahead. He had no choice but to fly through it, and everything ended well after exiting the cloud. However, Bruce's ordeal was far from over. At an altitude of 3,500 meters, he observed a second black cloud, much larger than the first. He couldn't understand how these clouds could appear in the sky given the atmospheric conditions. Bruce realized he had to fly through this cloud as well, and from this point, things began to deteriorate. The cloud grew larger, and Bruce found himself piloting through it with very limited visibility. The only source of light inside the cloud, according to Bruce, was lightning, which frightened him even more. Initially, Bruce thought he could avoid the cloud, but he soon realized it was impossible. After about 50 kilometers inside it, constantly avoiding lightning that passed very close to the plane, Bruce saw light at the end of the tunnel. He managed to safely exit the cloud and see the sun. However, the strangest things that happened to him on December 4th were just beginning. Shortly afterward, he realized it was the same cloud he had encountered initially. Bruce immediately contacted air traffic control through the radio station to determine his exact position. The air traffic controller initially told him that his plane was not on radar, but later realized it was already above the city of Miami and relayed this information to Bruce. Bruce couldn't believe it and insisted there was an error since he had taken off just 34 minutes earlier. A normal flight between Miami and Puerto Rico would take 90 minutes. Physically, it was impossible for him to be there in such a short time. 13 minutes later, Bruce landed the plane at Miami International Airport, and looking at the clock, realized the flight had lasted a total of 47 minutes. The distance between Puerto Rico and Miami is 400 kilometers, and Bruce's plane had a maximum speed of 290 kilometers per h. Even with simple calculations, this flight could not have taken less than 75 minutes. Additionally, only half of the necessary fuel for such a flight had been consumed. Bruce was puzzled by how he had passed through that mysterious cloud in just a few minutes, seemingly defying the laws of physics. He covered 160 kilometers of space in less than 3 minutes, he said. Sometime after the incident, Bruce attributed everything that happened to a UFO he claimed to have seen a few months before the mysterious flight. He said that the same force that had engulfed others in the Bermuda Triangle's black hole had pulled him into the cloud, but he believed he was lucky to escape with his life. Bruce Gernon wrote a book about his experience titled Beyond the Bermuda Triangle, in which he explains everything that happened and attempts to find a logical explanation for his experience that day. However, Bruce admitted that there is no logical explanation for all the things that occur in the Bermuda Triangle. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, this event is not unique. Over the years, various aircraft and ships have disappeared or experienced similar problems. For example, 5 American military planes disappeared during a training mission in a powerful storm in 1945. The most logical explanation for this disappearance was that the primary pilot's compass had malfunctioned, but this assertion is not entirely true. Both the captain and the co-pilot had malfunctioning compasses, and when contacted by air traffic control, they both stated that the compasses had gone haywire for no reason. The training planes were equipped with well-functioning navigation instruments, and it was unclear how these instruments could have malfunctioned. Nor was it plausible that the group became disoriented and ran out of fuel, as all aircraft had enough fuel for a 1,600 kilometers flight. Even if all 5 planes had malfunctioned or run out of fuel, These Avenger aircraft were capable of floating on the water for up to 90 minutes, and the crew was trained to abandon the plane within 60 seconds, equipped with parachutes. The rescue plane sent after them also disappeared under similarly unclear circumstances. Another equally bizarre incident involved the Cotopaxi ship on November 29, 1925. This ship departed from Charleston, South Carolina, headed for Havana, Cuba. It was loaded with coal and had 32 people on board. During the voyage, the ship encountered a violent tropical storm and reported water in its path 2 days after departure. The ship disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle, leaving no trace, and its exact location remained unknown for 95 years. However, in early 2020, researchers managed to find the shipwreck. The ship had remained hidden for nearly 100 years, and the mystery of its sinking remains unsolved. Similarly, a BSAA, British South American Airways plane disappeared during a flight from Bermuda to Jamaica on January 17, 1949. The flight was similar to Bruce Gernon's, as the weather was clear and there were no turbulences. However, the flight was affected by communication problems, and the plane never reached its destination. The search for survivors among the 20 passengers and crew members was abandoned just 1 week after the crash. An investigation concluded that there was no known cause for the accident, but Don Bennett, the former director of the company, stated that the flight had been sabotaged. He also claimed that Prime Minister Clement Attlee personally ordered all investigations into the incident to be closed. Questions about this flight remain unanswered, and the truth may never be found. In conclusion, the Bermuda Triangle is a place where paranormal events are quite common, and even survivors of incidents in this area, like Bruce, have not been able to provide concrete explanations for what happens there. However, not many have been as fortunate as Bruce to escape from this cursed triangle. That concludes today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to see more interesting videos. Thank you.